Welcome to CBM Calling. It is the first day of fall. How can that be already? My gosh, it feels like we just got locked down yesterday. Here we are. This is CBM Calling, as I mentioned, and today is a bit of a takeover. So my colleagues from Content and Design are here with me, and we're going to bring you up to speed on some of the latest things that are happening from our end at CBM. We have been doing this call for how long now, John?
Many episodes.
March.
Yeah, since the end of March, about
We're on like
70,
show 800, I believe this is, something like that.
Almost 80, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, almost 80.
So usually you get updates from our field staff and our partners, and we have topical conversations here. And you can find all of the past conversations on our YouTube channel, which we can post in the comments afterwards. But today, as I mentioned, we're having a bit of a takeover by Content and Design. So let's meet the band. I am the lead singer, apparently, of this little outfit. I'm Gordon Brew. I am the team lead here at CBM for Content and Design. And my two colleagues on camera are John Williams on the drums. There he is. Yep, John handles all the multimedia side of things. Quite a specialist. He's handling all the moving parts of today's broadcast and all the moving parts that you see in the creations that come out of our department. And Kristine Gonzalez. Hello, Kristine.
Hi.
Is this your first time on the show?
No.
You've been on camera before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, welcome back. Thank you for playing the tambourine and singing backups. And Kristine handles all the social media stuff for us and keeping all those channels operating. And handles a number of things internally, just keeping us all on task and pointed towards the deadlines. And back in the booth on hand claps is Ruby. Ruby is a little camera shy. And if you know Ruby, you know how true that is. But Ruby is looking after a number of technical things for our department, lots of app building that keeps us integrated with our colleagues in other departments. So keep up the hand claps, Ruby. We want to see your comments in the stream here. So that's the three of us. Plus we have two other dear friends that work on a freelance basis with us, Berdine on the design end, and now Alicia is taking on some more writing responsibilities. So that's the whole team. And today we are going to give you an update on some of the stuff that is coming your way or is already in front of you. So John, why don't you take it over if you've got a screen ready to show us?
Sure thing. Yeah, I'm going to start us off today with... Sure, I'm going to start us today with Build Your Own Sunday. This is a group of resources that we've put together. There's everything here from sermons and updates and music. I'll go over those a little bit in a second. But we realize that there are a number of churches that have been forced to go online, and that can be a little scary. That can be a little intimidating. Lots of new technology that you got to get your head around, and so we wanted to make it a little bit easier. We wanted to give you some free resources for your church to bolster your services. So we currently have sermons from Terry Smith, our current executive director, and Cheryl Bear, who helps us with our First Nations projects, and coming soon, starting with Randy Stanton, we're going to have an amazing regional reps series where each one of our reps from across Canada is going to give you a little sermon. They're about 20 minutes long and just perfect for you to get to put into your Sunday service, whether that's in person or online. We also have some global updates. So if you're looking for updates from the field staff that you support, you can get all kinds of global updates from here. We're updating them as often as we can, so keep checking back to see what's new. This week you'll see updates from Bruno and Kathleen Susi. Later on this week you'll see some from Bill and Janice Dick, and from the Bustins, who were on a few weeks ago. They'll have updates on what they're doing, how the field is coping with things in COVID, and also any kind of prayer requests they might have. Finally, on this page, I want to show you we have some music from our friend Fraser Campbell. He has recorded an original song for us. It's amazing. The video he shot is really great. And if your church has any high quality recordings of worship services that you would like to volunteer for this section of Build Your Own Sunday, we're really excited to share those with other churches. Not every church can record such good music or reflective pieces, so we're looking for anything that would fall into that kind of worship section. So feel free at that point, if you have anything, to get in touch with us at communications@cbmin.org. I'm going to hand it over to Kristine, who has one more part on the Build Your Own Sunday resources.
Thanks, John. I think it's amazing how you can talk and then you're clicking to make sure that those images are on screen. Great multitasking. I just wanted to share with you Prayerline, which is also on Build Your Own Sunday. You can get prayer updates weekly, where field staff guides us through prayers in their ministry context. We changed things up this year, keeping it fresh. We have a new video version, which you can download and play during worship service. You can sign up for Prayerline and pray with us for our field staff at cbmin.org/Prayerline. Scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll see a place to subscribe. And also, as Gordon had mentioned, I'm in charge of social media. So if you see me on screen and I'm not looking, not paying attention, I actually am. It's just that I'm also looking at the comments from people. So feel free to send us a comment on this screen and we'll respond to you, give you a shout out maybe. You can also get updates on our social media pages, like us on Facebook, please. That way you can see us on your newsfeed whenever there's something new going on. Our page name is Canadian Baptist Ministries. You can also follow us on Twitter at Canadian Baptist and Instagram at Canadian Baptist Ministries. We are also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com /Canadian Baptist Ministries and hit the red subscribe button, and you'll get notifications whenever there's new content. We would also really love to share how you're embracing a broken world through word and deed. This is for both churches and individuals. So tell us about it and send us photos through communications@cbmin.org. Do you have a former missionary at your church? Send us their current photo and we'll do a flashback post of them. Were you on a sent trip and want to share with Canadian Baptists how awesome the experience was? Just let us know. We're always on the hunt for content that will encourage others to be the salt and light. Back to you, Gordon.
I'm wondering.
Gordon freezing a bit?
A little.
Whenever Gordon freezes, he always busts into song.
There we go.
You got your back. Excellent.
I have some really, really bad connections, and I just moved downstairs to another part to be closer to the router to hopefully take care of that. But clearly that's not happened, but here I am. Thank you both. Isn't it funny how when we get on the camera, like just like the number of times we've presented to numerous churches or places that we go out and speak in. I love to do that. But you put me in front of the camera, it's just like my mouth turns to marble. I'm going to continue to ramble. And the other thing is that people watching don't know that the three of us, except for John, I suppose, who can see the visuals, I can't see anything that's on the screen beyond your three faces. I'm trying to also watch what's happening on Facebook, but that's like 10 to 12 seconds behind. So John, let's you and I try to show what's happening with Mosaic magazine. So I will try to speak slowly and you can try to follow along with whatever's going to be shown on the screen.
Sure.
So as you would well know, if you're part of our Canadian Baptist family, Mosaic magazine has been around for over 17 years. and continues to bring content from our projects and from the places that we work, and featuring the work that's being done by us in partnership with churches here in Canada and individuals. And we have been building over the last several issues the pillars and of the work that we do. And so we were all set to round out the print issue with number 5 in the causes, which is to be crisis response. And we started pulling together the material back before the beginning of this year. And our production deadline was to get this thing out in the spring. And then we got locked down. And then the irony of being caught in a crisis while we're trying to produce a magazine that features our work during a crisis seemed kind of ironic. And so we decided that we'd have to pivot as well for this issue. So there won't be a print version of the Mosaic magazine Crisis Response. Instead, we have built an entirely digital version, which is available at cbmin.org right there on the homepage. And John, are you going to be able to show?
I am.
You're showing it right now? Yep. Okay, beautiful. So right off the top, you are able to navigate from this document in the table of contents. So we put that right on the front page on the left there, and you can click into any article right from the table of contents. So we have been featuring, as I say, the work of Canadian Baptists in times of crisis. And one of the long-standing stories that we get to tell is our relationship with the Canadian Food Grains Bank, which has been in existence since the famine in Ethiopia as a response to that famine back in 1983-84. And the feature article here is written by Shaylin McMahon at the Canadian Food Grains Bank, talking about that history and about the ongoing work that we do through the Food Grains Bank in times of both crisis and development. So that's a great place to start. If you don't know the history of our involvement with the Canadian Food Grains Bank, you'll find that really, really great. And then that article ends on page 10 with a reflection from Bruce Neal. And Bruce was a former staff person and was at the table at the creation of the Food Grains Bank. And his little reflection there is really lovely. And I can say that because Bruce belongs to my church, and anytime Bruce preaches, he's got the most fantastic radio voice. And he and his wife are still attending at Kingsway Baptist, and his reflection is there on page 10. And then Randy Stanton has a piece about a growing project, which is a food grains project run by a local church down in Truro. And then Rachel Conway Dole, who is our good friend and has been on this show in the past. She has written a piece about how Canadian Baptists and CBM is able to engage during times of crisis internationally through other Baptist denominations globally. So the reach of the Baptist network is really wide. And so even though at times we may not be present to where a crisis is taking place, there are certainly Baptist denominations around the world that are, and oftentimes we work alongside them in offering support where we can. And then rounding out to the last couple of articles, Larry Matthews has an article on his relationship with an Ethiopian farmer who survived the famine in 1984. So you should really check that out. It's quite an amazing story about what the farmer's life has become since that and what he's gone on to do. It's really remarkable. And then, John, can you bring up the page with our dear Julia Bowering?
I sure can.
Yeah, so Julia is our latest, I think she would be, guys. Is she the latest addition to the CBM family in the office?
Yes.
She started right before COVID hit.
Right on the same week,
Yeah.
yes. So she had told me that she has actually not been face-to-face with her team since starting in her job until just in the last week or two, when we've had some meetings in the office, all socially distanced, of course. So there's an introduction to meeting Julia, and we're certainly glad that she is part of the international programs as the team lead. And I believe then we round out the entire issue with the former African team lead, Aaron Kenny, talking about the incredible impact that CBM has had over many years in East Africa, responding to drought and other challenges. So that's all the content that's in there, and it's all available. It's just as good as the print magazine, and now you can read it on your iPad. It's a pretty slick experience. And down at the bottom, John, I don't know if you can show this, but if people are wondering how they get around in this, you can use the little navigation that we put in there at the bottom. So you can move back and forth on the pages, or you can jump back to the table of contents and navigate back into another article from there. And in the very bottom, when your cursor comes down to the bottom, you can actually print this out as a PDF if you want to. You can share it all within that little interface. So we hope to see a lot of pickup with this, and that people find that we have been responsive. As I said, ironically, in a time of crisis with a crisis response magazine that had to pivot. So John, can you jump back to page 10 where I mentioned Bruce Neal? So on page 10, there's a little call out at the bottom there that indicates that we have a special insert. We had so much content for this magazine that we decided we would build a bit of a timeline with some other people that contributed their thoughts and reflections. So we've built this somewhat standalone piece that is called A Legacy of Presence. And so this started, if you go to the first page there, John, on that document, there's a series of letters that came to us that were written by missionaries in India, Arthur and Grace Matheson. These letters, written in 1929, 1930, I believe, were sent to us by grandkids cleaning up the estate, etc., and thought that CBM would be interested in the content. So one of the, I mean, a lot of it is just writing. It's writing home. It's about missing family. It's a beautiful little insight into the life of a family very far away from their loved ones. But they mention in there, in one of the letters, a bit of a rumpus, I think is what they referred to it as, a rumpus in the bazaar because of the Gandhiites being outraged that Gandhi had been put in jail. Now imagine that we had staff in India as Gandhi was beginning his work to lead that country to independence. And just that tiny little reference is what kind of kicked this off. So we've built a bit of a timeline with some reflections from different field staff that were on the ground, kind of, I was there when this happened. So it starts, as I mentioned, with Terry just enjoying those letters that were sent in to us, and then moves on to John Keith, our former General Secretary, who has many, many years of service overseas and is speaking about a number of those international and global incidents. And then a piece from Brian Hagerman, who was in Rwanda in 1994. And Bill and Janice Dick, who are currently serving with us in Bolivia, and in fact have just come home to Calgary for a visit until things clear up in Bolivia. But they were in Indonesia during the tsunami in 2004, so they're reflecting on that experience of being on the ground at that time. And that is followed by Pastor Voltaire, who is a friend of Terry Smith's and pastor still in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And he's taking a look back at the time that we were working in Haiti post-earthquake in 2010. And we did think that we had a very significant story to tell through our colleague Elati, who is sharing about being in Wuhan earlier this year and the response of the local church in Wuhan to the crisis just starting to break out with the coronavirus. And we thought we were up to date until earlier in August with the explosion in Beirut. And if you know this organization, we are deeply connected to Lebanon, and our colleague Ali Haddad has a reflection that wraps out this piece on what that's meant for our colleagues, for him and Mireille, his wife, during this time in Lebanon's history. And the last sentence of his piece, I think, is a good summation of everything that's in this document. And he says, "Where is God in the midst of calamity? All around us. We just need to look for his fingerprints." So I think that's a fitting wrap up to a document that's pretty intensive, though not entirely the full story of our history, but certainly firsthand accounts from people that can still write about where they were when these events took place. So hopefully you will have your full share of Canadian Baptists responding in times of crisis through both of these pieces. And again, you can navigate at the bottom of that by clicking through to the next page on the legacy of presence. Okay, so that's everything except for one last thing. If you are a donor, you will be getting a letter that just came in through the mail, and it is our latest fall appeal. I think, John, you're going to show this. I'm holding the paper product, but that's not much help to folks. This is coming into your mailboxes across Canada in the next week or so. Mine came into my mailbox yesterday. And it is another opportunity that Canadian Baptists can offer their financial support for our work globally when crisis strikes. We have been quite exhausted in responding to crisis from Wuhan, as I said, to Beirut, Lebanon, the explosion, the ongoing crisis in Lebanon that we're still engaging with Syrian refugees through the Food Grains Bank. And we could sure use your support. So if you see that coming in the mail, do what you can to help. And if you are more prone to giving online, as many people have gotten used to making contactless donations, I think, John, if you show the homepage of the website, the link is up there now that has the content of that letter and your ability to respond right there on the website. Okay, so I think, is that it, team? I think that's it for this one. I was going to suggest that maybe in a couple of weeks, the three of us get back together, and maybe four of us if we can convince Ruby to jump in here. Yeah, I know. Send in your comments. Encourage Ruby to join us. Send in your comments in the Facebook comments, and we'll see what we can make happen. But I think it'd be good because we have gift catalog coming up. We've got a number of initiatives for Canadian churches to take part in that. We have an Advent series that we're going to be sharing with you that's going to get dovetailed into Prayerline through the Advent season. So I think we'll probably come back in a couple of weeks if that's cool with you guys.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you to my team, the ones that are on the screen and the ones that aren't, for all of the efforts that you have put in. So I say this on camera to both of you, but man, we have really rocked it this year. And so it's your guys' commitment. John has just jumped in with both feet to try to figure out how we do this broadcast every single Tuesday. And if you'll recall, we were doing this every single day back in March at 2:30. So, and Kristine has stayed on top of all the details, making sure that the guests are all dialed in and know what's going on for these calls, as well as the hosts, including me. So I thank you both for your responsiveness on behalf of myself. And Ruby, shout out to Ruby.
Yep, Ruby.
You're not forgotten in this call. So thanks, guys.
Well,
I'm so proud to be part of this team.
Thanks for the idea. This idea came from you and was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what other ideas we'll be able to come up with and the things that we can share in the next couple of weeks when we circle back and talk about things leading into Christmas. So thank you for being out there. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next CBM Calling. Hey, Kristine, do we even know what the next CBM Calling I know is on Tuesday? And you know why I know that? Because I haven't found a guest yet. So there is a call next Tuesday, and we will let you know through the social media channel, right, Kristine?
Yeah. We also have a couple of people already saying that they want Ruby.
Yeah, I'm going to try and jump into, let me see if I can get
chat.
over to Facebook.
You go to the chat. There's
very good.
Randy, Jennifer saying, I want to see Ruby. And we also have Marilyn Phillips saying, looking forward to reading this edition of Mosaic. It looks excellent.
All right. Thanks, Marilyn. Yeah. Okay, guys, we'll wrap up here. Thanks to you both. Thanks for being out there, folks. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.